18 years, precisely. The planets will align ever so nicely.
Aye, verse. Aye.
The time to act will be at hand. Unleash the Titans, you monstrous band.
Good.
Then the once proud Zeus will finally fall, and you, Hades, will rule all!
Yes, a Hades rule!
A word of caution to this tale.
Excuse me?
Should Hercules fight, you will fail.
Hey, howdy, hey, people that love to be evil, Wolfman47 here. So, in sort of figuring out what to do, continuing my series of what if videos, I decided to do a bit of a long one today because I want to explore the concept of if villains got their way in the end. Because as we know, most of the time villains are often try to succeed but often fail more so than succeed, and such a good example of these kinds of villains are Disney villains, specifically the Disney villains that you see in the animated films, from all the way from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs up to Wish. So yeah, I'm going to be exploring the different what if scenarios to each of the villains from those films. Specifically focusing on those that didn't really succeed in their plans, and those that most of them are greed. Have different common things, like they can be greedy, they can be power hungry, they may want to kill their heroes, they want to rule their lands and all this stuff. So we're going to explore all those today. So we'll start with the very first Disney villain from the animated canon, which is Queen Grimhild, or quite simply the Evil Queen. Yeah, pretty simple one, this one. She wants to be the fairest of them all. Realise the magic mirror has always declared her the fairest of them all, until that one day where it decides that Snow White is the fairest of them all, and she sets out to take care of her. But as we all know what happens. The huntsman doesn't go through the plan. She tries to give her poison apple and does kind of succeed there, but ultimately fails when the seven dwarfs just try and accidentally throw a boulder her way, and Snow White gets true love's kiss. So yeah, I guess pretty simple, straightforward. Just get rid of everybody else. Yeah, that's all there is to it with that one. So usually I would then go on to the next film, but because Pinocchio's got quite a few large cast of enemies that for the most part most of them did succeed, and it's kind of feels pointless not really talking about them, I'm instead going to move on to probably the only villain people remember from the Fantasia franchise, which is Chunabug, or Chunabug, the devil, whatever you want to call him. Pretty simple. He wants to spread the world in darkness, so so in order to do that, the light needs to be turned off. Simple as. Yeah. Moving on to Cinderella, Lady Tremaine. As we all know, she is the stepmother of Cinderella and wants to do everything to make her life miserable and make sure that she doesn't inherit any kind of family fortune or whatever, yada yada yada. So in her case, to ensure her family's wealth, she needs to marry her daughters to a wealthy man, and to do that, she needs to sort of put a lot of things in place to ensure that Cinderella does not interfere at all. So there's no fairy godmother, no little mice trying to help her or anything. She just needs to lock her away somewhere and take care of those rodents as well. And I know this was kind of explored in one of the direct-to-home media sequels, but as we know, the direct-to-home media sequels people are often considered non-canon, because who really gives a shit about those films anyway? They're not very good, most of them. Moving on to Captain Hook. Well, he's pretty much a pretty straightforward person. He wants to basically rule Neverland, and Peter Pan just keeps getting in his way. But in a way, you can sympathise with Captain Hook, because he is trying to show Peter Pan the ways of being an adult, and you can't be a child forever. You do have to. Adulthood is inevitable, but just enjoy the childhood where you can, and that's kind of what he's trying to do here. In fact, the Disney version portrays Captain Hook as a villainous type, but in other versions, in particular in Once Upon a Time, he's portrayed as a sort of heroic character where Peter Pan is the villain. But well, I won't go into that just now because we've got loads to get through. So yeah, Captain Hook just wants to show Peter Pan adulthood and rule Neverland. Now we come to probably the mistress of all evil in Disney, and that is Maleficent. She was never invited to Princess Aurora's reveal party, I guess you could call it. And this led to her basically being bitter, lonely, and to the point where she'll use evilness to basically try and take over the land that she resides in. And as such, she does just that by cursing people. But what proves to be her undoing is that the three fairies happen to be able to enhance a sword that is stabbed into her when she's a dragon. So to combat that, she needs to take care of the three fairies and basically ensure that no one will dare try to destroy her. I mean, she can kind of forgive the fairies for trying to make her curse not deadly but more of a slumber. But nevertheless, she needs to deal with them. Cruella de Vil, she wants a fur coat made out of Dalmatians, so she just needs to evade the police. She just needs to evade the police, capture the Dalmatians, and do what she needs to do that, or make fake fur, which is okay, kind of not the same way, but at least you won't be found for animal slaughter or anything like that. Ooh. Madam Mim, while I don't see her as much of a villain as such, she's more of a nuisance really, and only really wanted to best Merlin in a duel. And I think the only way she would be able to best Merlin in a duel is to be more ready for him, analyze his strengths, his weaknesses, and all that stuff. Basically, do the Batman thing of trying to come up with a contingency plan to take Merlin down. Ultimately, what proved to be undoing was that Merlin became a virus, and that's what led to Madam Mim's defeat. So yeah. Shere Khan from the Jungle Book, he just wants to make sure there's no trace of man in the jungle, so he just needs to kill Mowgli or ensure that Mowgli is not adopted into whatever is, I think, the Wolf Clan. So yeah, plain and simple. Edgar Balthazar, I'm pronouncing his name right. So this is the butler of Adelaide de Bonfamille of the Aristocats film, who wants to become the sole inheritor of a fortune, but can't because she's decided to give her fortune to her pet cats, so he needs to dispose of the cats. Many ways he could do this. He does sort of make them come loose, but another way he could deal with them is, well, there's many ways he could deal with them. He could have them be chased by dogs and therefore never return. He could have them be given to other people, which is probably a more humane way of doing it. Loads of different ways he could do it, but definitely you don't need to kill them. You can definitely get rid of them some other way. So that's how he would fulfill that. Now, Prince John, in my opinion, when it comes to Disney villains, he's not really like the evilest of villains, and in fact, he's actually probably one of the weaker people, because it's very clear early on that he's not really that threatening. He likes to suck his thumb a lot, and he seems to be a bit of a coward compared to most Disney villains out there. So it's not really that surprising that he managed to that all his plans failed in the end, thanks to Robin Hood. But he just needs to be sure that Robin Hood is defeated, and if he defeats Robin Hood or kills him or whatever, then he can claim cat taxes, be a greedy king, and rule for all eternity, or thereabouts. Time to go to one of the more underrated Disney villains now. So Madame Medusa from The Rescuers. She wants this jewel called the Devil's Eye and sell it for profit. Pretty simple, straightforward. So she doesn't need a child to do it. She could just do it herself or hire some goons to do it, because that's really how you can do it. You don't need to do child labour to get the Devil's Eye. God. Professor Rattigan from Basil the Great Mouse Detective, or otherwise known as Sherlock Holmes, but with mice and rats. He wants to rule what is known as the Mousedom, or the Mouse Kingdom, whatever you want to call it, and kill anyone that may follow his plans, which includes Basil. So he can do just that. But the thing is, because Basil's meant to be Sherlock Holmes, he can outwit him, so he needs to find ways to outwit Sherlock Holmes. And if the Disney film kind of followed the Sherlock series, per se, I know it was released long before the series, but still, maybe it could work. I don't know. But I think that character was good. Yeah. Anyway. So, Oliver and Company, Bill Sykes. He wants Fagin, or Fane, I forget what his name, how his name is pronounced. He just needs to loan money he owes him. Fane can do just that. He can find ways to do that. He doesn't need to turn to villainy to be able to do that, but he does kind of turn to villainy in a way. But this character doesn't really need to be a villain to get what he wants. So yeah. Ursula, she is one person that likes to make deals with others at a cost, but never without sort of hidden conditions or whatever. She is always very fair with her deals. Good on her for that. But one thing she is lonely and bitter, which is no fault of her own, but more of King Triton's fault, because Triton banished her from Atlantica. So it's no surprise that she wants revenge against Ariel and so forth. So to rule the Seven Seas, she just needs to take care of it. She just needs to basically do everything that right in the film, but remove Ariel and King Triton some way, and also get rid of Prince Eric as well, because as we know in like both versions of the story that Disney have made, it was either Ariel or Eric that happened to kill her when she's ruling the Seven Seas. So that's Ursula. Now Gaston is an interesting villain because he's not really one that's power hungry or wants to take over the world or whatever. No, the thing he wants most of all is just to have Belle as his wife. That's it. It's kind of a woman beater slash torturer, controlled freak, and all that stuff. So all he needs to do there is just make sure Belle never leaves the village, never finds the beast, and the rest is history. Beast will succumb to his curse. His servants will succumb to becoming the inanimate objects they are, and that's the end of it. As depressing as that sounds. Jafar, pretty simple one as well. He wants to rule Agrabah and harness the power of the genie. So all he needed to do is just really kill kill Aladdin and anybody else that tries to get in his way, so that he can do exactly that. Basically, become the most powerful being on Earth, and rule Agrabah with an iron fist. So that's him. Scar from The Lion King. He's power hungry, wants to rule the Pride Lands and the Outlands as king, and kind of is more of a selfish king in that he only cares more about himself and his well-being than the health and well-being of his subjects. And the only way he'd be able to succeed and continue doing that is to ensure that Simba either does get killed by the hyenas, like properly, or he remains with Timon and Pumbaa forever in their little paradise, making sure that Nala never leaves, or allows Nala to leave, but establishes a border, as it were. Because I think kings and rulers can do that in those sorts of situations. So yeah, John Ratcliffe from Pocahontas, the only Disney Renaissance film that people are a bit mixed about, and for probably for good reason. Anyway, he just wants all the gold from Virginia and win favour with the King of England.
Hey, nonny, nonny, ho, nonny, nonny. Ooh, how I love it. Hey, nonny, nonny, ho, nonny, nonny.
Riches for cheap.
Hey, nonny, nonny, ho, nonny, nonny.
There'll be heaps of it, and I'll be on top of the heap. My rivals back home, it's not that I'm bitter, but think how they'll squirm when they see how I glitter. The ladies at court will be all a twitter. The king will reward me, he'll knight me. No, lord me, it's mine, mine, mine for the taking. It's mine, boys, mine in that gold with those nuggets, nuggets. Glory, they'll give me, my dear friend King Jimmy will probably build me a shrine. And all of the gold is mine.
So as long as so I think what he needed to do there was probably get gold from elsewhere or take care of the Native Americans head on, like straight away, not like leave it to the last minute. Actually deal with them straight away and then get the gold. But of course, because he's power hungry and all that and doesn't want to waste too much time, he definitely just wants the gold. So yeah. And also he's a bit of a manipulative liar, so yeah, he will do anything to get his way. Where are we? So Judge Claude Frollo, yeah, it's this guy. This guy's the one, the villain that you just it just does so many questionable things that it's no wonder he is a villain from the get go. He wants to kill Quasimodo. He wants to commit adultery to Esmeralda. He wants to do all sorts of horrible things. My God, what kind of a sick man is that? Anyway, so all those aside, his main goal is to remove the Romani population from Paris because he doesn't like gypsies, and there's ways he could do that. He could basically tell them to move on, or just outright ban them. But yeah, you never know really with him. So moving back to the more lovable Disney villains. Next is Hades, one of a few Disney villains whose voice actor has voiced him in pretty much nearly everything. You know, because lots of these voice actors voice their characters only once when it comes to feature films, but then they don't. But then they kind of voice them for feature film and then voice them in some things, but not everything. Whereas James Woods, who voices Hades, yes, that James Woods from that appears in Family Guy and The Simpsons, not to be confused with anybody else. He voices Hades in everything, with the exception of the House of Villains special of the show House of Mouse, in which he's voiced by somebody else. But nevertheless, he voices him in everything that Hades appears in. So the Hercules TV show, the Kingdom Hearts video games, obviously the film, and lots of other things. But anyway, enough about that. He just wants to overthrow Zeus, quit his job as ruler of the underworld, which Zeus gave him, and rule Olympus and the cosmos. So all he needs to do is, and as sort of demonstrated by the witch characters at the beginning of the film, it's implied that he needs to take care of Hercules in order to do that. So in that sense, Pain and Panic needed to make sure they drank the whole potion. And so Hades should have supervised them as they did that, to make sure that they go through that. So that's all I can say about that. Otherwise, just kill him some other way, or ensure that Zeus does stuff. I don't know. Shan Yu from Mulan. He's plain and simple. He wants to conquer China and will do anything to do just that. Overthrow the emperor and everything. So all he really needed to do is not have Mulan interfere with his plans. And all Mulan had to do was just accept that she can't do the manly thing of going to war and join the army and all that. So yeah, as sexist as it sounds, yeah, I hate it when you get so many sexist things happen, like, oh, only men can go to war, no women can go to war. It's a different time back then, but nowadays so much better. So on to Clayton, voiced by one of my favourite people in the world, Brian Blessed.
Where are the gorillas? Gorillas! Gorillas!
Shouting won't help, Mr. Clayton. He doesn't understand English.
I'll make him understand. If I can teach a parrot to sing God Save the Queen, I can certainly teach this savage a thing or two. Gorilla.
Gorilla. Oh, he's got it. Gorilla. Gorilla. Perhaps not.
No, give me that. No, leave it. No.
Mr. Clayton, I think I'll take it from here.
He simply wants to sell gorillas illegally or some other way, and to do that, he needs to get rid of their protection, which is Tarzan, and all that. And the way he could do that is convince Tarzan that the gorillas aren't worth it, kill Tarzan on the spot, or I don't know, just get rid of his limbs. But I know Clayton's not a monster like that. No, I don't think he would do that, not intentionally. But this is the guy. This is the guy that somehow hanged himself in the end, and yeah.
Clayton, don't!
So, moving on to Yzma from one of my favourite underrated Disney films, The Emperor's New Groove. She wants to order the Emperor move Kuzco, and she didn't really need to do her plan of poison him or even have Kronk get rid of him. No, he could have been outvoted in an election in that sense, so she didn't need to go through with her plans. Having said that, if there was an election to who should rule the Empire, she would probably win hands down, because I guess in a way she does kind of care more for the people than Kuzco does, because let's not forget, Kuzco is the one that wants Pacha to sort of get his people removed from that mountain so he can build his little swimming pool paradise, Kuzcotopia.
I don't understand how this could happen.
Well, let me clear it up for you. At my birthday celebration tomorrow, I give the word, and your town will be destroyed to make way for this. So, if I were you, I'd pick up some change of address forms on the way home.
But, where will we live?
Don't know, don't care. How's that?
Oh, but wait, you can't...
When I give the word, your little town thingy will be bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Oh, wait, no.
Boo-hoo. Oh, yeah, everything was...
Kuzcotopia. But at the same time, Yzma does at the beginning of the film make it so that this peasant doesn't get food. But then again, I don't know. So, and I've not even seen the Emperor's New Groove TV series either, so I don't know if she actually went through that. But yeah. Moving on to Commander Rourke. So this character is, of course, the villain in Atlantis. And his plan kind of doesn't make much sense, because his overall plan is he wants to harness the power of the Heart of Atlantis and sell it for profit. But the thing is, he's already going to be a rich man just by the fact that he found Atlantis. And it's even shown at the end that the Atlanteans would be willing to give the people some riches for them to live on. So he didn't really need to do what he did. He could have just accepted that the heart of Atlantis needs to stay where it is and just take what the people were going to offer him anyway. But he is an interesting villain in that he does kind of reveal his true colours literally as you watch his clothes sort of change their shade, the sort of shade of colour that they are, which is a unique detail for a villain like him. So yeah. Right, I'll get through this quite quickly because I know not most of us are not fans of Home on the Range. Alamadela Slim, he wants to claim the farmland, have all the cows as his, and all that stuff. Not really sure how he was going to do that in the first place because of complications with contracts and sort of property ownership and everything. So yeah, he just needs to spend a lot of money on trying to claim land, and yeah, and as demonstrated in that series Clarkson's Farm, it's not exactly easy to buy farmland, and it's not exactly easy to sort of do stuff on the farmland without approval from the council. So yeah, but then again, it was a fictional film, so it probably didn't have it. Anyway, moving on from that. Definitely moving on from that. Dr. Felicia. He has friends on the other side, and he just wants to pay off a debt to those friends on the other side, sending them souls. But in the end, they settle for his own soul. So in that sense, he kind of succeeds, but at the same time doesn't succeed because he gives them the soul, gives them payment, but at the cost of his own life, as it were. So yeah, that's him. Mother Gothel in Rapunzel. She wants to use Rapunzel's hair so that she can remain young and beautiful forever, and she can do just that by making sure that Rapunzel never leaves the tower, like, ever. But, and it's a big but, because the tower is concealed in a sort of cavern-like area, Rapunzel can simply just walk out, and as long as the rocks are sort of like around the tower and don't have like any kind of exit, she can stay there forever. But as we know with the film, she did escape and she was reunited with her parents, and Mother Gothel's plans went into nothing. But if we're following Kingdom Hearts 3 logic, she would turn into a Heartless, which Sora and gang would destroy. So she wouldn't go out without, a fight, so to speak. So yeah. Next, King Candy / Turbo. So as we know from his origin story, as explained by Fix-It Felix Jr., King Candy used to be this game called Turbotastic, which lots of people played. But then another racing game came into the arcade, and Turbo grew jealous of this and tried to invade that game and became a virus, putting both games out of commission. And then he somehow found a way back into the arcade and invaded and hacked Sugar Rush. So I guess with him, he was kind of sort of living in Game Central Station for a while, finding his time to find a game to invade and hack. And for him to succeed, he just needs to make sure Wreck-It Ralph and Vanellope von Sweets don't interfere with his plans. So in Wreck-It Ralph's case, he just needs to send him back to Fix-It Felix Jr. and make sure he stays there. And for Vanellope von Sweets, he just needed to ensure that she never partakes in any of the races, no matter what. As sad as that sounds. So yeah, that's him. Prince Hans, one of the few Disney villains that is kind of a surprise to a lot of people, but you do kind of get hints they might be villainous in some way. But what he wanted to do was to rule Arendelle and finally make a name for himself after being bullied by his brothers. He just wants love and attention. That's all he ever wanted. But he didn't need to kill Elsa or Anna to do that. He could have got the love and attention he deserved some other way. But yeah, being the foil of his brothers, I don't exactly blame him for wanting something more. So yeah. next is Dawn Bellwether. So again, another surprise villain. No one would have thought a little sheep would actually be a villain. That would come with the plan of trying to sort of create a society in which prey rule over predators. But obviously, that plan doesn't come into fruition in the end because Judy and Nick stop her. But had she succeed, she probably would have ensured that Nick and Judy were imprisoned or taken care of some other way, assassinated or something. So yeah. And I feel I should really talk about him because he did appear in a film that is part of the animation canon, and I know most of us are not really that keen on it, but anyway, King Magnifico, probably one of the few characters in Wish that most of us actually do like. He is basically the embodiment of most Disney villains, and he's already doing what he wanted to do, ensuring that nobody's wish can be granted. Only he picks out the best wishes, and he was doing just fine with that. But then obviously got kind of greedy and power hungry and so forth, and eventually did what he set out to do. But as we all know with the film, everything that it was building up to, it amounted to nothing in the end. So regardless of what happened with King Magnifico, all he needed to do was just make sure that that people continue to make wishes, and he continues to keep them, and then just power himself up with them when the time is right, making sure that no one can interfere with his plans. And that's pretty much the majority of the Disney villains that I'm willing to talk about in this video from the animation canon. So, as you might have guessed, lots of them, as I said at the beginning of this video, most of them have common themes in that they are some are power hungry, some want to take over or rule their worlds, and all this other stuff as well. And yeah, that's all there is to it. So yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe using the buttons wherever they are. See you next one. Peace to you all. And remember, it's tough to be a god. No, that's the wrong company. And remember, you can rule things. You can be jealous of people. You can be a bully to someone else if you want to. Maybe don't do that. But definitely don't do what Color Frollo does. No, do not commit adultery. Do not kill babies. Do not do unspeakable things. And yeah, just enjoy life the best you can. And that's all I'm going to say on that. So yeah, all right, toodles.